We're going to do our subrequest inside of our controller for this blind date page. So let's go to our resource pack directory where we already have the code prepared. And we're going to open up step 26, blind date controller.php, adding a subrequest. And let's compare this with our existing blind date controller. So I'm going to copy the original code to the clipboard and compare to clipboard. So this is the original code, and this is our updated code. Okay, I'm going to scroll down here. And here's where we're generating the subrequest. So we're going to grab the request from the dependency injection container here, and then we're going to use the create method inside of the request class in order to generate a new request. Now we generated requests multiple times in the Symfony videos, so you should be a little familiar with this. In this case, instead of generating the parameters from global variables, we're passing in our own. And this first part here, request get base URL, is taking the request, which is our current request right here. This is the one that we're building up right now, and it's grabbing the base URL from it. So we're leveraging some of the processing that's already happened, some of the variables inside of this request to generate this base URL. But instead of getting the current page, which is blind date, we're going to get the admin page. This is going to be a GET request, and we can actually find out more about the signature by going straight to the definition. So we have the URI, the method that we're going to use, any parameters we need to pass in, the cookies, any files, server information, and the content. Okay, so when we go back to our file comparison here, this is our parameters, these are our cookies, and we're grabbing our cookies from our request. We're also grabbing the server variables from the current request. And then in the next line, we're going to grab a response. So we're using the HTTP Kernel service. So this is where we're tapping into the service. And we're going to run the handle method. We're going to pass in the subrequest, which is what we created up here. And then we'll use HTTP kernel interface subrequest, which is just boilerplate code that was copied from another example in Drupal core. And now that we have the response, we can use the get content method. You've seen this before in the Symfony videos, and we're going to set that as the markup. So what we're going to see here when we load up the page is a subpage inside of our current page. The subpage is going to be the admin page, and then the overall container is going to be our blind date page. So let's exit out of this file comparison. And let's copy the code from our 26th step blind date controller.php, and let's paste it in our current blind date controller file and save it. Now let's jump back to the browser, and we're on the blind date page, and I'm going to refresh. Okay, so now inside here in the content, we see our administration page just embedded right in here. It has everything applied to it. So we're already logged in, and we can actually use this page if we wanted to. So this, of course, isn't a very practical example, but if you imagine that you have some pages that don't get themed completely, that just return some content, you could pull from multiple pages in order to generate this. And this is also potentially valuable if you want to expose this content as an API to other websites, for example.